Welcome to Small Cap Nation. I'm Jane King at the NASDAQ market site in Times Square, and today we're diving headfirst into a sector that is already taking advantage of the 10-year decline in soda consumption, the bottled water industry, with experts predicting that the consumption of bottled water could surpass soda by 2017, and consumers continuing to look for healthy alternatives to sugary drinks and sodas. We brought together three leaders in the investing in bottled water sectors to discuss a subcategory of bottled water that is responsible for driving overall sales of bottled water across the United States. And the subcategory referred to as functional bottled water. It is defined as water containing flavors, vitamins, and minerals. And it's backed by Hollywood A-listers like Jennifer Aniston, P. Diddy, and Mark Wahlberg. Now, first I'll introduce my guests. I'd like to introduce Mr. Stephen Nickolas, the CEO of Alkaline Water Company. And your company produces Alkaline88, a bottled alkaline water sold in 5 states, or in 5 sizes, in 50 states.
There you go. Yes, you got that right.
20,000 different retail outlets.
And more every day. Yes.
More every day.
And
great.
Every day.
Okay. And then beside him is John Persinos. He's a contributor to TheStreet.com, also Seeking Alpha, the editor and investment analyst for Investing Daily, provides in-depth investment advice to help people achieve a rewarding financial future. So always,
exactly right,
always a good thing.
Thanks for having me.
And then also Michael Kramer, the founder and member of Mott Capital Management, a thematic growth investor using big trends, macro trends in society to find growth stories. So thank you all for joining us and sharing all your individual stories. Now, as I stated, soda consumption has experienced its 10th straight yearly decline. So it's obvious American consumers looking for other things. There's tons of choices out there for hydration, and alkaline water, one of those choices. So tell me a little bit, Stephen, about the company. What's your unique selling proposition? What's unique about alkaline water versus other bottled water companies?
Well, I've been in the bottled water industry now for 36 years. So I've seen many trends come and go. But one thing that has stayed pretty constant is that bottled water has always grown, whether it be double-digit growth year to year or 8 or 9% growth from year to year. It always has a very steady increase, at least ever since the late 70s and early 80s. And what I noticed a few years ago was that the popularity of the alkaline diet, which was becoming more mainstream, I felt was going to drive consumers on a mainstream basis to go after alkaline water. And I must say I was absolutely correct. We initially just targeted large retail stores. That was our first foray into the industry. We stayed away from health food stores, and that strategy has worked substantially well for us.
So tell us about just alkaline water. Like, for those of us who just have heard about it a little bit here and there, what does it promise health-wise?
Well, what it promises is it helps to somewhat balance your body so that you can fight off diseases better. There's nothing specific that alkaline water does in the way of, it targets cancer or it targets this. It does, for example, from clinical studies, it does help with digestive issues. We know that acid reflux can be benefited by drinking alkaline water. But alkaline water is the same as an alkaline diet. The more fruits and vegetables you eat, the more alkaline your body remains. The more alkaline water you consume, the more your body remains. As Dr. Phil said once in one of his shows, for every soda you drink, you should have an equal amount of alkaline water to kind of balance it out. So it's really allowing your body the opportunity to fight off diseases by giving it every bit of ammunition it has.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, John, tell us about investing in the functional bottled water industry. What have you seen?
Well, I tell you, the best way to make money over the long term is to invest in unstoppable trends. And a truly unstoppable trend is the increasing consumption of bottled water. In 2015, the consumption of bottled water in the United States increased 6.4% year over year. It's on track to increase 34.7% between now and 2020. And the per capita consumption of sugary carbonated drinks has declined to a level not seen since 1986. And it has declined 20% over the last 25 years. In fact, what I find fascinating is that there's now a stigma attached to soda. It's not just a health trend, it's become the new smoking. And we're seeing more and more regulations and taxes and bans affecting soda drinks. And this is just going to accelerate as people become more health conscious. Now, big soda, so to speak, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, they're trying to embrace this trend. They're trying to co-opt it. The problem is they're weighed down by their core business, their branded soda drinks. I mean, Coca-Cola in the post-war period was an icon. It was emblematic of American triumphalism, you know, the most known brand in the world. That brand is eroding in value as people drink less and less soda. And what's really hurting big soda is that adolescents are turning away from it because tastes are established in early adolescence, and teenagers and preteens are not turning to soda. And so it's akin to the situation you're seeing with smoking. To get new customers, they have to get hooked, so to speak, at an early age. That's not happening with soda. So what I like about the bottled water business is that it's a momentum trend that appears to be unstoppable. And the best plays are the companies that are purer plays, the smaller cap companies that have room for growth. Companies like Coke and Pepsi, they're behemoths, and they have other parts of their business. So as much as they try to buy out other companies or introduce new brands, they'll always be sort of a day late and a dollar short.
Okay. And then, Michael, I mean, you invest in trends, long-term trends, thematic growth.
Right.
How do you see the bottled water industry?
Well, I think it just fits into that broader trend that we're living in now, right? We're living in this organic, non-GMO type of world. People are becoming much more health conscious than they've ever been. And I think bottled water is just, you know, a piece of that, right? We're moving, like he had mentioned earlier, like John had mentioned earlier, it's really starting at an early age. I mean, for example, my kids, you know, are 2 and 5, and they have friends in the same age group. And one day they came over and they saw a bottle of Diet Coke, the friends did, on the table, and they looked at us like, "You're having Diet Coke with your dinner?" And it wasn't really. It just goes to show, like, even at an early age, kids are being kind of taught that this is not really healthy for you. And I think it just goes to the broader, longer trend that people are trying to eat healthier and be healthier.
Yeah, you know, it's exactly true. I have a 6, well, she turned 7 today, and an 8-year-old, and they'll go out and eat with their friends, and they'll order a Sprite, and sometimes their kids are like, the friends are like, we don't even know what that is.
Right.
So yeah, so bad mommy, I need to get them off those soft drinks. But could a company like Alkaline be a buyout target for a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi?
Absolutely.
Or one of the bigger?
That's a good point. Yeah. And Coke is buying out smaller companies as well. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And diet sodas were mentioned. Another interesting fact is that the consumption of diet sodas are in decline as well. So
Sometimes more so than the sugary ones.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So we're seeing a trend. It's global as well. In China, for instance, the consumption of bottled water has doubled over the last 5 years. That's a lot of consumers.
Interesting. Okay, so Steve, where do you expect your company to be in 6 months from now or a year from now? What are your strategic goals for the near term?
Well, we're just continuing to do everything we can to take advantage of all the low-hanging fruit we possibly can
and that means what,
attack.
getting the product out there
Getting
in
the
stores?
product out there, getting into the distribution network.
Okay.
We use all the standard beverage distribution methods. We have some of the largest beverage distributors in the world that we're working with. We've actually had some interest for some overseas business, which frankly we're going to probably only slowly work with because we really want to have a large domestic footprint. It seems in every market that we have really focused our attention, we quickly become the #1 selling alkaline water, whether it be Southern California, the Southwest, the Texas region. By Nielsen reports, we are now dominant in all those areas and growing better than any of the other alkaline waters for one main reason. Our water says exactly what we are, Alkaline88.
Right,
And
no disputing.
consumers love to be told exactly what's going on,
Yeah,
where they
very
don't have to think about
Exactly. Sometimes you use your handheld a little bit, right? Figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
So I'm there too. Okay, so John, is there anything that could stand in the way of this growth?
Yes, there is. One headwind is that consumers who are more health conscious also tend to be environmentally conscious. And one rap against bottled water is that it takes a lot of energy to produce the plastic bottles and to transport the water. Water is heavy. It has to be transported in trucks. So there is the argument that it's not the most efficient way to hydrate. However, there are some companies that have done an end run around that by providing water in bulk. There's companies such as SodaStream, where you can buy canisters, where you can fill them at home and buy them in bulk, and that is more efficient and more green, if you will. But that's one headwind. But they're mostly tailwinds, especially when you consider crumbling infrastructure, the disaster at Flint, Michigan. People are embracing water more and more, turning their back not just on soda, but on public tap water. So I don't see a lot of things standing in the way of a double-digit growth for the consumption of bottled and functional waters.
How much does the bottle cost? I know there's different sizes. What's the range of cost?
Well, your smaller bottles, you know, the single-serve bottles, the bottle itself can run you 7-8 cents. And
But I mean in terms of the consumer.
what's the cost to consumer?
Yeah, like what would the consumer pay for a bottle of Alkaline88?
Oh, well, we, again, speaking to the environmental conscious consumer, when we launched with bulk products. We had a 3-liter product, we had a 1-gallon product, which on a per ounce basis was about half the price of what the other alkaline waters in the small bottles were. Plus, you weren't consuming as much plastic because you were buying it in these bulk containers, which we saw as a real advantage in the marketplace. So roughly it's about 8 cents an ounce if you got down to an ounce. Our 700 milliliter bottle sells for about $1 to $1.29. Our 3-liter bottles are anything from $2.50 to $3, and our 1-gallon bottles are around $4 a piece.
So it's competitive with general water.
Oh, very competitive.
Okay, I was under the impression it was much more expensive. I thought maybe that would be a headwind.
No, there's not much leeway in consumers' mind as far as how much you're going to pay for beverages. You know, you got the rare, the Fijis and the Vosses, but other than that, you know, consumers are very touchy when it comes to how much.
And if you're having a few a day, you know, it can add up.
It
if
can
it's
add up
expensive,
quickly,
so.
yes.
But you know, related to that one statistic I saw, I believe it's close to 40% of consumers surveyed felt that it was worth the price to pay for bottled water. So there's a substantial number of people who feel that it's not overpriced.
And long-term health, so what you might save in diabetes cost or something. So, okay, so Michael, what about due diligence? What should an investor do before investing in Alkaline Water or any of these companies?
Right, so the first thing obviously is always see what the competitive landscape is. You know, who's out there, who are the major players, you know, what's the likelihood of a larger company coming in and taking market share away or pricing products lower. I think other things to consider also is like, what's the cost of acquisition for a customer? How much education needs to go in to make a sale? So you could think about it like sometimes like it could cost a lot of money for a company to just get the message out there to its consumers. So I think all these different things really weigh into really trying to figure out where a good investment lies in that sector.
Now you are traded over the counter, or what's your, like if somebody wanted to?
OTCBDB.
Okay, and what is the ticker symbol?
WTER.
Okay, so water.
Which is easy to remember.
Very easy to
Very
remember.
easy to
So thank you so much for sharing the story of Alkaline Water. Steve, John, Michael, helping us better understand the industry. So thanks for joining us today on Small Cap Nation.
My pleasure.
And thank you as well for joining us on Small Cap Nation. And if you'd like to see more interesting interviews about business or interesting companies out there doing some up and coming things, you can go to smallcapnation.com.